Hello everyone, my name is Griffin and we are back with another reaction video. It is a bit weird to see me shaved, isn't it? Even for me, I'm looking at my OBS and it's weird to see me without facial hair, even for me. Anyways, this one is, we are reacting again to another one of Brett Cooper's videos, and this one is called This Is Heartbreaking. I have no idea what this is about, so I can't really say anything. But let's see what this is about, shall we? I forgot I didn't have my headphones plugged in. There we go.
I absolutely hate covering these stories. I hate seeing them in the news. I hate knowing that these things happen in the world. And I almost didn't want to cover it on the show because it's very unlike a lot of the things that we cover, and very little information has come out. And usually in these cases with school shootings, that's what we're talking about. I'm sure that you saw from the title and the thumbnail. Usually as information is coming out, I don't want to talk about it. I especially do not want to give attention to the shooter, because usually that's what they're trying to achieve by doing these absolutely heinous acts. But there are so many questions about this particular shooting that I really think we need to dive into. If you don't know what I'm talking about, yesterday was an absolutely heartbreaking, tragic day for Winder, Georgia. A student at Appalachia High School opened fire, killing 2 teachers, 2 students, and injuring and hospitalizing 9. I think it was 8 students and 1 other teacher. It is an absolutely heartbreaking tragedy, and understandably, people have a lot of questions. How could this have happened? Especially when the school was warned the morning of, especially when the FBI had this child on their radar for over a year. Before diving into this, though, I want to thank you guys, as always, for liking and...
School shootings. Yes, we've been having a lot of them in the past, I'd say 10-15 years. They've increased a lot. The thing a lot of people seem to blame is gun control, and just guns in general. It's just, I see it. Look, when I was in high school, I was in high school from 2005 to 2009. When I was in high school, there were plenty of kids that would come to school with trucks or cars, whichever one they decided to come in, and they would have guns either in their trunk or the back of their seat, parked in the parking lot of the school. And the only reason they would have those is so as soon as the school day ends, they go out to their vehicle, they can go out and to wherever they were going, so they can go hunting. The thing, we cannot blame guns. It's not really a gun control problem, because like I said, I've gone to school with plenty of kids who have had guns in their cars, but the school never got shot up. I think what has really happened is not anything to do with guns, because guns in and of themselves cannot do any harm. They are not dangerous, because if you just lay a gun on the table, it's not going to do anything. Guns are not the things that are killing people. It is the people behind the gun that is killing people. We have gotten to a point where we have an utter lack of respect and value for life. Over the past 10 to 15 years, the value of life to people has gone so far down the drain that they see it as they see it as, I'm trying to figure out how to say this right. They feel about as bad as somebody would as stepping on an ant. That's how these people feel. They have an utter disregard for another human's life. And I think that is, of course, mental health is another problem that has come about. So it's mental deterioration and an utter lack for the value of life. I don't see it as a gun problem at all, because you can make all the gun laws you want. You can take away everybody's guns. There are still going to be guns out on the street, because there are still going to be ways for people to get guns. Hell, there are countries out there who whose citizens have no access to guns, and yet murders and other dealings of life still happen that skyrocket in other ways, like knives or blunt objects. It's not the weapons that we have to focus on. It is the people that we have to focus on and deal with. We have to do something about the people. We can't do anything about the guns because that's not going to do anything. I mean, hell, there are people out there with guns who actually have protected people and protected many of lives who would not be there if they didn't have a gun.
Subscribing and supporting the comment section channel so that we can continue making episodes like this and getting important news out there. So this shooting at Appalachia High School took place yesterday morning around 10 a.m. Now, after they heard gunshots and knew that there was an active shooter on campus, the teachers were able to use a new ID system that was implemented to quickly inform law enforcement. They quickly went into a lockdown. They were trying to protect their students any way possible. The shooter has been identified, and he is a 14-year-old boy, which just makes this even more devastating because that is so incredibly young. Now, it's slowly coming out where exactly he was and how he made his way through the school. We don't exactly know if he was targeting somebody specifically or a specific classroom, but it is clear that he did go into a special education classroom. And the first victim that was identified on social media was David Finks, who is the special education math teacher.
The one thing I seem to understand is there's one thing that I don't know if any of these investigators, law enforcers, or anyone is trying to look into, is what brought the shooter to the point where he or she felt like they had to go and shoot up a place. All they seem to focus on is that he had access to a weapon and he went and did the crime. It seems the least thing that is investigated is what brought them to that point. What in their lives happened to bring them to the breaking point where they felt like they had to take lives, and in some cases, after taking those lives, take their own life. I think one of the biggest things people need to investigate is what brought that person to the point where they felt like they needed to go shoot up a place and harm themselves as well in the process. I think that is what people need to look into, is what brought them to that point and how we can make it so that other people aren't brought to that point, and how we can avoid it, how we can help people. And to me, I don't pay attention much to the news and other stuff. I just focus on my own life. But I don't know or don't think people look too much into that. And they don't try and see what they can do to help fix the problem and help make it so that other kids or other people don't get to that point where they can help them make their lives better, all that sort of stuff. I don't know if people are invested into that. If they are, I have no idea, but I think that's one of the things we need to look more into, and so we can start preventing more of these things happening. Because like I said, there's an utter lack for the value of life and an utter lack for people's mental health.
He was shot and hospitalized, but he is expected to survive. Now, allegedly in that same classroom, the shooter also shot and killed a 14-year-old autistic boy named Mason Schemmerhorn. And people on social media now know a lot about Mason because as kids were filing out of the school and parents were reconnecting with their kids, Mason's family was unable to find him. And so they started posting on social media saying that he's autistic, that he gets triggered easily, that he might have wandered off in the chaos. They needed help finding him, that he was often scared and would need help, but Mason did not make it out of the school. 14-year-old Christian Angulo was also murdered, as well as two math teachers, Richard Aspinwall and Christina Ermey. Aspinwall, in addition to being a math teacher, was also the high school football coach. Now, thankfully, law enforcement got there quickly. There are videos upon videos of them flooding through the city trying to get to the school. But even though they responded fast, they were not the first on the scene. It was actually the school's 3 armed on-site resource officers that made it to the shooter first. And upon reaching him, the shooter quickly surrendered and allowed himself to be taken into custody. And thank God they were there. Thank God that they were there. Thank God that they were armed, because this could have turned out completely differently if they had to wait until law enforcement got to the scene. But what's so insane about the story is that people were warned. They weren't just warned the day of, because back in 2023, there were threats that were linked to this young man that were posted online. He was allegedly posting pictures of guns and threatening a shooting, and so a tip was sent in May of last year. And within 24 hours, the FBI connected with the local sheriff's office, and they were at the family's house questioning the young man and his father. New York Times wrote about this. Police interviewed Georgia's suspect about shooting threats in 2023. Now, at the time, this young man denied that he posted anything, that he actually intended to do any of that, and his father assured law enforcement that his son did not have access to the hunting rifles that he had in the home. And yesterday, the Atlanta division of the FBI confirmed this in a statement that they posted on X. And in the last line of the statement, they wrote, "At the time, there was no probable cause for arrest or to take any additional law enforcement action on the local, state, or federal level," which is understandable. I don't know what you would do in that situation where a possible threat has been made, but the child is saying no, and the parent is saying that they will handle it. Like, can you arrest somebody for a threat? What do you do? Do you tell the school? I don't really know how that's handled. At least the FBI knew, and within 24 hours was there trying to mitigate the risk. But anyway, that was a year ago. But yesterday, there was probable cause because the school itself was warned. Somebody called in a tip, as CNN reported yesterday. Appalachia High School received a phone call this morning that warned about shootings, officials say. The high school at the center of today's mass shooting in Georgia received an earlier phone threat, multiple law enforcement officers tell CNN. Law enforcement officials in Georgia say that Appalachia High School received a phone call this morning warning that there would be shootings at 5 schools and that Appalachia would be the first. They were warned the morning of. They were told about 5 schools, and all of these students still came to campus and classes continued on as normal. Like, I genuinely do not understand. If the law enforcement officials are correct, why were students even in the building? And also on the point about 5 other potential shootings, did this 14-year-old kid without a driver's license intend to go attack 5 other schools one after another? Like, are there other shooters? Is this some plot that a bunch of kids have put together? Like, this seems to be a huge story that the media is just brushing under the rug. The only place that I've actually seen this is right there in that CNN article, and then people posting about it on X. Now, one post that I did see, and he claimed to be talking to some parents at Appalachia High School, said that they already do know of a second shooter who possibly was at Appalachia, that he was a football player, and that he specifically wanted to target that football coach. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. Do not take my word for that. I'm just telling you what I've seen online, and these same people are saying that there are 2 other shooters that are unaccounted for. But regardless, parents everywhere should be horrified and livid that this threat was received and recorded, and the school still put their children in danger. Now,
Normally, I think what a school should normally do is, like, if they get wind of a shooting threat, an email, call, or text or something, a mass email, mass call, mass text, whatever, should immediately be sent out to the parents of the children of that school. I don't care how many parents they have to send it out to. They need to do that so the parents can be forewarned about their children. And they need to say that, okay, nobody's gonna come to school today. Everybody gets the day off, or everybody gets the week off until things calm down. That would have been the logical, and I think that would have been the smart decision for the school district to do. And a lot of this could have been avoided. And the law enforcement could have went back to that kid's house and talked to their parents and made sure that all the guns were safe and secured and everything was taken care of, and all this other stuff that could have happened that could have prevented these 4 to 6 lives that were taken. I think it was 4, and multiple others that were injured. A lot of this could have been avoided if they did these things, but I don't think they took it too seriously. But the thing is, I think a lot of these things should be taken seriously, but there are also things where it could turn into a boy cried wolf situation. But these sort of things, they're like bomb threats. They should be taken very seriously because, they're kids. It's a school district. Kids are the most vulnerable people in the world. And it's even more sad that here in the United States, it's gotten to a situation where they need armed people on campus. They have these sort of jig lock things that they put in the doors. They have certain ways they can hold the doors shut. They have shooting rooms that they can just open up, and they can just pull from the wall and open up and just set up and have all the kids there. It's sad that we've gotten to the point where we've needed to do all that, But like I said, a lot of that is because the lack of the value of life and the lack of the mental help that a lot of these people need to prevent all this stuff. But I mean, condolences. My condolences to the families of the 4 victims. But I mean, what happened in this kid's life that got him to the point where he believed that the only solution to solve his problem was to grab a gun and head to the school and take out lives? It's sad how far people's mental deterioration goes.
Obviously, it could have been a lot worse if they did not have these resource officers on site. Thank God they did. And just as a reminder for everyone, in case you have forgotten about this nice thing that Kamala Harris said back in 2019, these are the exact types of resource officers that she wants to get rid of.
What we need to do about demilitarizing our schools and taking police officers out of school.
Why are you...
Look, what... I think they need to keep them in schools. It's... Like I said, it is sad that we have gotten to the point where we need to have them at the school. It's really sad that we've gotten to that point. But now that we are at that point, I think it's fucking retarded that there are people who say defund the police, defund all this sort of stuff, that if this stuff wasn't here, you have no idea just how much anarchy and chaos there would be among the streets and how much chaos and anarchy would come to people's homes. If there were no law enforcement whatsoever, there would be a lot more murder and sexual assaults and all this other stuff that would happen. And there would be no one around to help you because there'd be no law enforcement. All these school shootings would be much worse if there was no law enforcement, if there was no armed people at the schools and colleges and all these sort of educational campuses. You can't defund these things because then you're just leaving all these kids defenseless. But like I said, it's sad that we've gotten to the point, but since we're at the point, we need to keep them there.
You applauding for
we
that?
We need to deal with the reality and speak the truth about the inequities around school discipline.
That is actually insane. That is so backwards. Now, obviously, in an ideal utopia world, there would be no crime. There would be no threats. Kids would be able to stay innocent and would never face tragedies like this. We wouldn't have to deal with security at schools. But that is not real life. That is not our reality. It would be great if we could change that, but you can't ignore the reality that's in front of you, especially when you are a politician and your job, allegedly, is to represent us and protect us. And instead, you're wanting to do the exact opposite. Ignoring this reality and wanting to demilitarize schools and keep police officers out of schools only puts children at a higher risk. What about that do you not understand? My friend Amir posted this on his story yesterday as all of this news was coming out. I think that it was so spot on. He's posted this before, and he said, here's a different perspective on school shootings. Guns. We defend our president with guns. We defend our celebrities with guns. We defend our banks with guns. We defend our courts with guns. We defend our jewelry stores with guns. We defend our sporting events with guns. We defend our music festivals with guns. We defend our children with a sign that reads, this is a gun-free zone. And then we call somebody with a gun to come in for an emergency.
Yeah, it's... We basically went from defending everybody with shields and swords to bows and arrows to crossbows and then with cannons, and now basically almost everything in our country, in the world, is defended with a fucking gun. That's just how our reality is. But yeah, like she said, in a utopian type of world, we wouldn't need all this stuff. Everybody would be happy and healthy and not mentally deteriorating to the point where they feel like they need to lash out in violence. Our kids would be safe. It would be a happy, nice world, but that's just not how reality works. It is a sad and harsh reality we live in, but this is just how our reality is.
It is so wrong, it literally makes no sense. And instead of finding ways to better protect our children in schools, politicians take this opportunity to just scream about gun control and AR-15s and how terrifying they are, like the White House did last night. Karine Jean-Pierre gave a statement from Biden calling on Congress to do something. Quote, "We need universal background checks. We need to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of firearms, invest in prevention programs, and pass a national red flag law."
Oh, God, this is so dumb. Like I've said before, guns don't kill people because guns in and of themselves do not have the capacity to kill people because they are inanimate objects. A gun cannot kill somebody without a hand from a person to pull the trigger. It's not the guns that kill people, it's the people that kill people. We need to ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines. Require the safe storage of firearms, yes, that's, common sense for everybody. Prevention programs and pass national red flag laws. It's just it's like some people don't think with their fucking brain.
Law. What this kid did was already illegal. There are already laws against everything that happened yesterday. This kid is a criminal legally. He already cannot have a gun, and yet he acquired one because criminals, no matter their age, do not care about your gun laws. And it is naive and ridiculous to think that they will suddenly respect the law when you strip law-abiding Americans of their Second Amendment rights. They're not going to go, "Oh, I guess I can't buy an AR-15. I guess I won't go shoot somebody." That's ridiculous. All you are doing is preventing law-abiding citizens from protecting themselves and keeping us all vulnerable, while you still get to walk around with your Secret Service and your bulletproof vehicles. And yet that's the only part of this conversation and this tragedy that they seem to care about. Now, all of this reminds me of what happened at the Covenant School shooting right here in Nashville last year, because in the aftermath of that, our governor, Bill Lee, proposed an amendment to our school safety bill, and it had everything. The cornerstone of the governor's plan is to spend $140 million for a school resource officer grant fund to put trained, armed security guards in every public and private school. Another $30 million would go towards expanding a statewide homeland security network with 122 agents working public and private schools. The governor would spend another $27 million for public and private school security upgrades, and $8 million would go towards school-based behavioral health liaisons statewide. And obviously, this is a lot of money, but when it comes to things that taxpayers want to spend money on, I would bet that the majority of us would be very happy if our tax dollars went to protecting children instead of a bunch of other bogus crap that they're usually spending our money on.
Yeah, if I were to choose some of the things that I would like my tax money to be spent on, spending it on making sure that our kids have a good education, that they are safe within that educational facility, and they are protected. That is what I would like some of my tax money to go towards, because that is a worthy cause to spend money on. Because the kids are our future, and our future is getting shot down like fucking dominoes. Because the thing I find really sad is that whenever a tragedy like this happens, politicians, no matter which side you're on, left or right, Democratic or Republican, whenever something like this happens, instead of trying to find a way to, make the situation better, trying to help find ways to prevent it so people don't get to the point where they have to snap and use guns to kill people, they find a way, they use that situation and try and push their agenda to ban guns. That's all they think about, and that's honestly just very distasteful and just morally wrong. Very disrespectful to the family as well. Don't use tragedies to push your stupid ass political agenda. Fuck you.
And thankfully, this bill did pass. But 4 of our most radical left-wing representatives refused.
Tennessee Democrats who faced expulsion failed to vote for school safety bill that earned bipartisan support.
To vote for this bill because it did not include a crackdown on guns.
Oh no, there's no crackdown on guns in this bill? Oh, we have to vote against it because it doesn't align with our political agenda. Oh, fuck off.
And they were advocating for other Democrat representatives to not vote on it because of this. They wanted it to not pass because it wasn't good enough for them. They would rather have students be unprotected than not get exactly what they want. It is so gross and so wrong. They are so blinded by this hatred and fear of guns and hatred of conservatives and Republicans that they are not even willing to cross party lines to just get kids protected in the first place so that we can actually address the root cause of the issue.
Yeah, the thing I find very horrible with our I like I said, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care. I don't give a shit. But these people who so vehemently just frozen in their ways. I don't know how to put it better. They can't seem to come together, compromise, and find a way to better the country that they're supposed to represent. They have just this giant screaming match at each other. They can't break away from what they want. They say, no, you're wrong. Our way is right. We should do it our way. We will not bend. We will not, do anything different. We need it our way or the highway. Fuck you. Just fuck you. How about you do the job you were hired to do? Represent your people and make it so that this is a better country than when you were brought into it. I can't stand these fucking politicians. I can't stand politics because it's just a giant dick-waving competition. Mine's bigger than yours. That's basically all politics is. Neither side can come together, comprehend or compromise on anything, and just meet in the middle on shit. Especially when it comes to our fucking kids and education.
Which, I'm sorry, is not guns. But we can't get to that root cause if children are not protected, so we have to do that first. Robbie Starbuck posted something really insightful last night on X. Stop me if you've heard this before, but the school shooter today was known to the FBI. Reminder for those calling for more laws, he is 14, so it is already illegal for him to have a gun. We don't know how he got it yet, but we do know that he broke gun laws to get it. More laws don't fix that. This is a culture issue. We had the same guns 60 years ago, including AR-15s, and we didn't have teenagers doing this. Our culture is sick, and that is what we need to fix if we want this to stop. Until we address the culture issue, the mental health issues, and the pharmaceutical issue, we will continue to see these tragedies. It won't be easy, but this is fixable. It just takes the desire to actually fix the problem.
Yeah, see, it's just like this guy said. 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, this wasn't such a giant fucking problem. Like I said, there were people who came to school with guns in their vehicles, only so once they get back into their vehicle after the school day is over, they can go to their fucking hunting area. And they can go shoot deer or turkey or quail or whatever the fuck they hunt. And they wouldn't go back into their car, take a gun, and go back into the school with it. It wasn't such a giant fucking problem. It is a cultural issue. It is a mental issue. We have to find out what these issues are and try and make it so that these people don't come to the point where they snap and feel like they believe they have to go to an area and shoot it up. But these politicians, all they see is, oh, it's a gun issue. We have to make more laws to ban guns and take away people's rights to own a gun. You can just fuck right off a cliff for all I care. They don't want to address the issue. What they're trying to do more or less is just put a band-aid over a gushing wound that's just fauceting out blood. They're just looking at it and going, oh, band-aid will do. Are you a fucking idiot?
Heartbreaking. And he is absolutely correct. Addressing the mental health crisis and addressing pharmaceutical corruption in our world, That's not as flashy or inflammatory as screaming about guns, but I believe that that is the only way to heal this sick culture and mitigate these tragedies from ever happening again.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I sounded stupid with anything I said, but it's just only going after the guns is probably the dumbest fucking thing you can do, because that's not going to fix the issue. It's just going to make it worse for law-abiding citizens who own a gun, that some who go out of their way to protect the innocent with said gun. So, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. What do you believe? How do you believe that we can fix the issue that doesn't involve more laws on guns? I mean, an actual, way that we can solve the problem. An actual way we can fix this. How do you think we can do that? Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for more. I post 3 days a week. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.